approximately $2.5 billion.
Takriban dola bilioni 2.5.
Makamba says President Samia is also expected to attend Korea-Africa Summit, and during her visit, President Samia will receive honorary doctorate in aviation management from the Korea Aerospace University, KAU. The honorary doctorate recognizes President Samia's transformative actions, policy interventions, and pragmatic leadership that has transformed the country's aviation sector. President of the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, says his government aims at distributing electricity to all villages of Unguja and Pemba Islands so as to bring about development in those areas. Dr. Mwinyi made the remarks at the State House in Zanzibar when he met with the Norwegian ambassador to Tanzania, Ton Tynes, who went to present her credentials to the president.
We've had good cooperation with your predecessor, and we hope to do the same with electrification. This is the area that we also received your support, both in rural electrification, particularly on the small islands. The work was done, and it's quite appreciated by everybody now, since now they have the power over there. We would like to see some more work like the one you did in the mainland Tanzania through the Rural Electrification Agency to assist us in the distribution of power to the small villages that are not connected to the grid yet.
Speaking about the oil and gas sector, President Mwinyi has invited Norway to look at investment opportunities in those areas. On the other hand, the Norwegian ambassador to Tanzania says her country will continue to cooperate with Zanzibar in different development projects.
How the Norwegian support very well. I think that we also the cable that went to Pamba, that was also an important.
The submarine cable, yes.
From the Norwegian side, you mentioned the electrification of the small island.
Yes.
Very important contribution.
Yeah.
For livelihood, for business, for everything.
Correct.
We have been working, as you mentioned, with SECO for a long time.
Yeah.
Our kind of previous cooperation ended last year, but now we are in dialogue with SECO. So our plan from the ministry side is to continue capacity building.
Yeah.
Ambassador Ton Tynes praised 60 years of good bilateral relations between Tanzania and Norway. In other news, preliminary results of the South African polls held yesterday have started coming out. Now, to understand more about what is going on there, here's a Tanzanian journalist working in South Africa, Fortunatus Kasomfi, with an update.
So, as expected to many, MK Ungondo Osizwe, which means the spear of the nation, has been stabbing and getting into the strong camp of ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, taking most of polls and getting the constituents to the side of their own side, to whereby even IFP are shocked to get some of their strongholds, whereby into Zuma, Obo and other places of KwaZulu-Natal has been taken by MK, who are leading with the 43% now, with the 26% of votes has been counted into the province, whereby most of people were knowing that KwaZulu-Natal might be one of the strongest hold for MK. It looks like ANC isn't even into the show of it, because the mayoral side it looks like EFF, IFP and MK are the one leading into the less of getting into mayoral situation. Also nationally, it looks like ANC is struggling into the side of KwaZulu-Natal.
Now, from South Africa, let's go to Windhoek, Namibia. The Africa Youth in Tourism Innovation Summit and Challenge is the only Pan-African Youth and Startup in Tourism Summit on the continent. It serves as a platform for SMEs, youth and startups in all aspects of tourism and all related industries to connect, engage, learn, innovate and grow. Margaret Giddy reports from Windhoek.
The Africa Youth in Tourism Innovation Summit and Challenge is back again this year, 2024, with focus on empowering young women to take up space in technological innovations that will enable to boost profitability and growth in the travel and tourism industry in Africa.
We would like to keep on encouraging each and every one of you to keep pushing. There is a statement I always make wherever I go, whenever I speak. And that is paraphrased from what Martin Luther said a while ago. And I will do it differently. If someone is chasing you and you stand still, you will be caught and be killed. But if you keep moving, you get the person keep on chasing. But what you do is when you can't run, what you do, you walk. When you can't walk because you don't want to lose your life, you crawl. And when you cannot crawl, you drag yourself off the ground to the finish line. And I would like to encourage all of you, you got to keep pushing until you win. Because winners never quit and quitters never win.
One of the things we've really seen, we've been having this event now for the last 3 years in Namibia, and we're seeing a lot of businesses come through that came to this event early on when we started this here, or when we started hosting the event here, and they're now successful. They've benefited from the outcomes and the learnings from the event, which is really nice to see that what we are doing is having an impact on the community, the economy, and so on.
However, the platform has continued being the #1 platform for young innovators to learn, connect, and pitch their ideas to industry moguls.
And I think the lovely part about all of this is that it truly incorporates everyone from any industry. Like I said, I'm coming from sports, yet when I arrive and I see, okay, there are opportunities to improve the sports economy which fall under sports tourism. And other than that, it is a chance to ask questions personally, not just during the panel, but there's so much time outside of that to network. Yes, we always emphasize Africa, we are one people, but you genuinely don't notice the differences until you're all grouped together at a place like this and just learning from one another. So I absolutely love it.
This forum is really wonderful. It's important. With this platform, we're able to come here, meet with other people, other companies, other organizations from all over Africa, being able to present in front of people, to be able to get that validation or feedback, right, to see how applicable it is in other African countries. So really, this forum is crucial in that sense for us.
The 6th Africa Youth in Tourism Innovation Summit and Challenge is happening here in Namibia for 4 days. Reporting in the beautiful city of Windhoek, Margaret Getty, TBC.
The regulatory bodies overseeing the nation's marketing systems are mandated to make sure that service providers utilizing artificial intelligence disclose all benefits and drawbacks of their systems in order to protect consumers' rights. The chairman of the board of the Fair Competition Commission, FCC, Dr. Agui Mlimuka, made the remarks during a symposium on artificial intelligence use in Dar es Salaam that focused on consumer rights and accountability. Dr. Mlimuka says that it is now necessary for the FCC and other authorities in charge of managing technological systems, as well as other authorities involved in market management, to get together, have a discussion, and provide recommendations on how best to control the abuse of the technology.
Wakati mzuri sasa kwa mamlaka za usimamizi wa soko ikiwemo FCC.
It is good time now for market management by FCC authorities and other authorities to sit together and come up with recommendations, including using the services provided by consultants and experienced in monitoring and using artificial intelligence, so that the government can find the right system to control the use of this technology and make the system accountable to all market stakeholders.
On the other hand, FCC Director General William Erio says that the Commission is working on complaints received from online buyers.
far, we have received 1 complaint through brand owners of the Hugo Boss brand, which is very famous for perfumes and some T-shirts and the related items. They've complained that somebody is selling their goods online and those are counterfeit. So we have received the complaints, we have gathered the necessary evidence which have been in support of the complaints, and currently we are investigating it with a view of taking appropriate action.
Only 13% of Tanzanians are reported to be using insurance services due to the fact that numerous services available on the market do not meet Tanzanians' real needs. This was stated in Dar es Salaam by the Director of International Relations, Research and Professional Advice at the College of Insurance and Social Protection Africa, Dr. Anselm, while awarding certificates to 25 professionals who had received training on how to develop inclusive insurance products that cater to Tanzanians' needs.
The success of the insurance industry and ability to attain the goals that have been set by our governments, but those which are expected by our international partners, depend on our collective ability to stay abreast of the emerging trends, technological advancements, and the evolving customer needs.
As participants, we've gained a comprehensive understanding of how to design and distribute insurance products that cater to the needs of underserved communities. The knowledge and skills we've acquired are invaluable, equipping us to advocate for and implement more inclusive practices within our organizations. Inclusive insurance is not just a professional responsibility, but a moral imperative, playing a critical role in fostering economic stability and resilience of each and everyone in the society.
On the other hand, a representative from the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, Josephine Laswai, says that the organization has partnered with the government to ensure that it increases the capacity of insurance service providers to support the inclusion of insurance services for all Tanzanians.
And now we are here today for the distribution channel of the inclusive insurance. And as already Anselm has mentioned, without the distributors, insurance, especially inclusive insurance, we won't really reach the targets that we are aiming.
When we talk about inclusive insurance being insurance generally and being a part of mainstreamed business experience for all of us, and I'm sure all of us together have taken the first initial steps and will help us in accelerating these steps as we move forward together. So,
let's have a look at other stories now. As the world marks International Day of Potato, United Nations says that about 2/3 of the world's population consumes potatoes as its staple food. According to the United Nations, nearly 50% of potatoes are used as the household staple food. Peter Mganga reports.
Potatoes are an important component of the strategies to provide accessible and nutritious food and improved livelihoods in rural and other areas where natural resources, especially arable land and water, are limited and inputs expensive. The crop's versatility and ability to grow in a variety of conditions make it an advantageous crop choice. Potatoes are also a climate-friendly crop as they produce low levels of greenhouse gas emission in comparison to other crops. In the past decade, the global production of potatoes has increased by 10%, leading to the growth in employment and income. But more work still needs to be done to harness the full potential of the crop in order to solve the challenges of hunger and malnutrition globally. By 2030, the total production of potatoes will reach 750 million tons, with an increase of 112%, of which the production of Asia, Africa, and Latin America will exceed 440 million tons, with an increase of 100%, accounting for about 59% of the world.
Now, before we wind up local news, let's take a look at today's exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Do not miss TBC News every weekday to know all the latest in exchange rates. Stay tuned for all the latest in international news. Now, here is international news as compiled and read to you by Nyambona Masamba.
Vote counting is underway in South Africa's general election. Early results pointing the governing ANC far in short of the majority for the first time since the end of apartheid. Soaring unemployment and roaring power cut are among the main concerns for many voters. Voting was extended to some areas due to a large turnout. All indications show the turnout was extremely high compared to 5 years ago, whereby 66% of voters came out. The former South African President Party, Jacob Zuma, has made major inroads in his homeland, KwaZulu-Natal. This is traditional ANC national hold. It's quite a shake-up this time to the Pacific. Officials in Papua New Guinea say they do not expect to find survivors following a massive landslide in a remote village last week. The government says over 2,000 people have been buried alive. Officials in Papua New Guinea says that they do not expect to find survivors following a massive landslide in a remote village last week. The government says over 2,000 people may be buried alive. Only a few bodies have been recovered. The scheme of landslide is unprecedented in Enga province. This is the most remote place in Papua New Guinea. Relief have been very slow to arrive. In either side of landslide disaster area, makeshift tents have been set up to cater for casualties which are coming in. Volcano in the Iceland is erupting for the 5th time since December. At least 4,000 people have been evacuated from their home in a nearby fishing town. To West Asia, Iran has opened the registration period for candidates wanting to compete in president. The poll is due to be held after President Ibrahim Raisi was killed in a helicopter crash last week. Those looking to run will have to be approved by a 12-member vetting body regarding council. 1 year from now, President Raisi was supposed to run for another term in office, but the helicopter crash death changed everybody's plans. Several people are expected to put their names forward. To Asia, China President Xi Jinping has called for the establishment of independent Palestinian state and promised more aid for the people in Gaza. He made the announcement during a summit with leaders of Arab states in Beijing, discussing also including the expanding China's stretched ties in the region. He said China support Palestine for membership in UN and support more broad-based, authoritative and effective international peace conference. And 14 pro-democracy activists have been found guilty of violating the national security law pushed through Beijing. The charges stem from their campaign calling for independence election in the territory. The activists ranged to the age of 20s and 60s and 47 in total trial.
That was international news as compiled and read to you by Nyambona Masamba. Sports news up next. And in sports, Tanzania national team Taifa Stars resumes its campaign to qualify for FIFA World Cup 2026 against Zambia in Doha on June the 11th. According to the schedule released by CAF and FIFA, the African nations will resume their road to qualification for the FIFA World Cup 2026 next week. The 2026 World Cup finals, which will be hosted by the United States, Canada and Mexico, will see 9 teams from Africa qualify, as the global showpiece will host 48 teams for the first time ever. Taifa Stars have played 2 matches in their group. The team started their campaign with 1-0 away victory against Niger on November 18th last year at the Marrakesh Stadium in Morocco, thanks to a goal from Charles Amombwa. However, they faced a setback in their second match, losing 2-0 to Morocco at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium in Dar es Salaam on November 21st last year. This is the third match for Taifa Stars as they sit fourth in Group E, which comprises of Morocco, Zambia, Niger, Tanzania, and Congo. Sports news, the chairman of NBC Dodoma Marathon Committee, Tasiana Masimba, revealed that this year's race is planned to raise 300 million Tanzanian shillings that will be used to cure women suffering from cancer. Chairman Masimba calls many athletes and race fans to show up in numbers so as to contribute enough money to help communities like women suffering from cancer.
Running will benefit your health, but also your donation will go to save the lives of mothers with cancer, the lives of mothers and children through the Midwives Scholarship.
NBC Dodoma Marathon started since 2020 and has already contributed a lot to the community, especially helping people who are facing challenges of getting treatments of diseases like cancer. Tanzania Tennis Association's Vice President Rajab Bori says national team tennis players will camp gearing up for international tennis tournament in July. Vice President Bori added that the camp will give enough time to the coaches to inject tactical skills and practice them before the competition.
We want the trophy by enemies, because for men we are still in the 5th zone and we have to fight for the 4th zone in Africa. And to get there, we have to really fight because the competition is difficult, but we have no way out.
African Zone 4 tennis tournament will take place in July in Rwanda. Before we wind up, let's take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Hello, welcome again to the next 24 hours of forecast, starting tonight at 9 p.m. From Tanzania Meteorological Authority, my name is Rwanda Nomari. Wind is expected to flow at 30 kilometers per hour over the entire coast and the Lake Victoria. While over Lake Tanganyika and the Lake Nyasa, wind speed is expected to reach 20 kilometers per hour. And tonight, dry condition is expected to persist over most part of our country, with the cool condition especially over southwestern highland. And the lowest minimum temperature is expected to be 9 degrees Celsius in Beira and the Jombe regions. And tomorrow, few areas, especially in Kagera and the Mara regions, are expected to feature partly cloudy condition, thunder showers and sun period. While the remaining regions are expected to feature just the partly cloudy condition and sun periods. And now, let's have a look on the next 4 days forecast over some regions of our country. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
And that marks the end of our news bulletin for tonight. Do not miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. I am Faida Ngaga. Good night.
Saba. Njoo utangaze nasi sehemu sahihi. TBC, ukweli na uhakika. Wasiliana nasi kwa namba ya simu 0735778891 au email marketing@tbc.go.tz. 77 2024, tunaongeza thamani ya biashara yako.